Hey there. It's been a while. Gonna go ahead and go hands-free for a second. Well, not for a second, but for the rest of the video. Here we go. Anyway, in the car, wanted to discuss a bit of the baseball season so far, for professional and major leagues, that is, and specifically the Orioles and a couple other, I would say, broader observations. Now, I wonder if I could do something with the toothbrush here. Let's do something. That can work. Maybe. Anyway, we'll try that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's okay. Anyway, the Orioles. Where do we start? Oh my goodness. Well, yesterday when I was thinking about this topic, there are a few comparisons you can make, but honestly, I'm just gonna say what I think about the situation. Now I'm thinking, when I said other comparisons, I'm thinking other teams I watch and how they've succeeded or failed over recent years. So let's just discuss what's gone wrong and if there's any optimism. Well, what has gone wrong? Mainly two things: starting pitching and timely hitting. Both have been practically non-existent to start this season, and that's not a good recipe for success. In fact, it's pretty clearly a recipe for failure, as the team is 10 games under 500 as we speak. Now, this is before Friday night's game, before this series in LA, or I guess Anaheim against the LA Angels of Anaheim, which that's a stupid name as it is, but that's not the point. Specifically, two of your star players in particular, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, have not been hitting well. Two of your other more or less everyday starters, Colton Cowser, Jordan Westbrook, are out. So that's four guys out of your lineup out of the 9 that are not playing well. It's not ideal. Ryan Mountcastle also hasn't been playing well, which for many won't be a shock, but some people are sentimental. Zach Eflin's not available to pitch right now, nor is Kyle Bradish, nor is Grayson Rodriguez. And both Kyle Gibson and Charlie Morton are not pitching well. What a shock, because they pitched so well last year. Definitely was worth signing them for the combined 15 plus million. I can't complain about Sugano. Kramer's been what Kramer is, so I can't complain about him. Povich hasn't been tail end of last season Povich. He's been more of what he usually has been, which is not great, which is barely a serviceable starter at this point. But more than anything, I do believe it comes down to the attitude, the mentality, the vibes. And with that, the coaching, the philosophy of the club. Because, and this is partly an issue with the lack of, I would say an impressive offseason, maybe. So there was this one video, or it was going to be a series. I forget if it was one or a series, but basically I had made this presentation on PowerPoint of 3 directions the team could have gone this past offseason. And what I expected was more or less what they did, which was what I called the status quo, which was don't really improve the team, do more of the same, somehow expect different results, when obviously, yes, the regular season the past 2 years was good. There was a drop-off last year, partly because Bradish was injured, partly because Bautista was injured. etc. Adley was terrible second half, but to expect everyone to just be awesome and healthy, I don't think that's realistic. You look at even the Dodgers, they're having a large injury crisis with their pitching again. The Braves, multiple guys that were injured are still injured. Profar had a career year because he was cheating, and he got busted for cheating. I mean, I don't think these are unpredictable, is almost how I have to word it. Like, these are not unpredictable things. So the fact that they got off to this bad start, which obviously has not been as bad as the Orioles, because hardly anyone is as bad as the Orioles. One of the teams that's as bad is the Pirates, and they've already fired the coach, manager as they call it. So that's not a great indicator. And two others would be the White Sox, who were historically bad last year, and the Rockies, who may be historically bad this year. So again, that's not a good company to be in. But getting back to what I was saying, for me, one of the big issues, and this is my belief, is that the lack of, not even investment, but lack of improvement. And it was obvious. I don't see how it was not obvious. I don't see how the fan base and the media, well, some of the media, I will give some of the media credit. Some of the media did say, wow, they've brought in some average at best players, they're not going to be any better. And credit to those people who said that. But a lot of people said, oh, well, look, they're spending money. They can't complain about not spending money anymore because they're spending money. They're middle of the road now instead of bottom 5 or 7 in payroll. So they're like 16th now. So that's great. But if you actually look at who was brought in, and we all said this, well, many of us said this, you bring in Charlie Morton for $15 million, you bring in Tyler O'Neill, who is injury prone and doesn't hit righties that well, for another 15 or so million. That's 30 of the 60 or whatever. Another one's Sugano, which he's been fine. Another 10's Kittredge, who hasn't pitched yet, because of course he ends up being injured when you were worried about Hoffman being injured, which that's ironic. So what it comes down to is most of the guys that they brought in or brought back, well, maybe not brought back, Mateo, for instance. Mateo's not been good. Mullins and O'Hearn have, so that's a positive. The point is, you get what you pay for, and if you're overpaying for old/unproven talent, you're gonna get old/unproven talent. And that is not what's needed when you lose Corbin Burns and have Kyle Bradish on the injured list with coming off Tommy John. That is not and never was going to be good enough. And I think combined with questionable approach/strategy at the plate, all of the issues from last year are present this year. And that's not surprising. Real quickly, to change gears, you go one of two ways. Let's go with pleasant surprises. As a baseball fan, we'll say. Because again, I'm not surprised with what's happened with the Orioles. Thus, I'm not particularly upset because it was pretty predictable, I think. Now, some people might say, oh, well, things could have worked out, but yeah. And again, it's not surprising to me. Anyway, getting back to my point. I look at, in particular, the Giants, the Padres. Let's just talk about those two and cap this off because we're almost 10 minutes in. Now, these are West Coast teams, and up until this Monday, or was it Tuesday? I think it was Monday, I didn't have MLB TV. And shout out to them for going half price less than a quarter of the season, quarter of the way into the season, about a quarter of the way into the season. So paid half price for basically 75% of the season, which I'm pleased with that deal. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not bad. Anyway, what's crazy with the Giants, just to start with them, is a lot of their expenditure in the offseason has gone on to Willy Adames, who is not hitting well. And of course, you don't want to overreact. It's only 30-something games, whatever. He's acclimatizing to a new park, a new league. Well, not league, but division. It's a stifling ballpark for hitters compared to, say, Milwaukee. Anyway, as well as, how old is Justin Verlander now? 42, something like that? So that was a lot of their spending. And that's, for a team that was around 500 last year, for them to be hanging around in the top of the division, which pretty much is the most stacked division in the sport currently, I'm impressed. Players who've stood out, Logan Webb's been good, I'm pretty sure. I don't have his numbers in front of me right now because I'm driving, but Logan Webb is doing Logan Webb things. That's awesome. Jung-Hoo Lee actually looks like what he was hyped up to be coming out of, I guess, the KBO or whatever league he was in, MPB, whatever it was. And yeah, got, who else is on that team? I'm trying to think. Matt Chapman, defensive wizard. Mike Yastrzemski, Patrick Bailey. Anyway, like I said, I haven't watched them that much. I've just seen the numbers. They look pretty good. I've seen a little bit more of the Padres. They've had a crazy injury crisis at times where Merrill was out. I want to say Tatis was out for a little bit, wasn't he? Obviously, Cease just got injured. Hopefully that's not long term, but you never know. Darvish, Musgrove, just a lot of guys out. And part of it, I'm wearing my Padres shirt. I don't know if you saw that, but anyway. Part of this is the Dodgers coming off that World Series hangover. At the same time, they still have an awesome record. It's not perfect, it's not record-breaking, but considering the circumstances, how many guys they have out, specifically with pitching, I'm impressed. Likewise, I'm impressed with the Tigers and the Mets. The AL Central, and this was low-key, I want to say one of my predictions. I want to say I picked the Tigers and the Royals to come out of that division this year. I think I picked those two. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I have to go back and look. But at least in one of my predictions, I had those two coming out, with Cleveland close by and then Minnesota being Minnesota of late. But anyway, the Tigers look really good. The offense seems to be better than anticipated. Javi Baez playing the outfield now. Hunter Green doing his thing. I mean, Riley Green. Hunter Green's on the Reds, my bad. Who else is there? Joe, Mize, Olsen, obviously Skubal. Bullpen's still decent. The Royals, I don't know about the Royals. I know I was going to say something about the Mets, but the Royals, sometimes I wonder, because I want to say they just played the White Sox, who are terrible again. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe those two divisions are propped up by how bad the team at the bottom is. So right now, if you look at, say, the AL East, yeah, the Orioles aren't doing well, but game to game, they're nowhere near as abhorrent as the White Sox and Rockies, because they're terrible. It's embarrassing. Pirates too, but anyway. Getting on to the Mets real quick. Pete Alonso doing awesome. Lindor doing his thing. Pitching's been good. They got guys coming back at some point. Juan Soto hasn't even been great. they're rolling. Oh, and one other kind of fraud watch team to keep in mind, the Phillies. I want to say I mentioned that I went to see them. Was it the first weekend of the season? Anyway, they were playing in DC. Largely Philly fans there. And they were doo-doo. Lost to the Nats. Not quite shut out, but I think they scored like one run on Mitchell Parker, which who knows if he's actually good. But the point is, guys like Harper, Turner, well, I'm not even going to say anything about Turner. My opinion on him is he shouldn't be playing shortstop. He should be playing the outfield. But outside of that, he's actually, what the heck is this person doing? People drive so poorly around here. I just have to say that. But anyway. Yeah, so Trey Turner, to me, if you put him in, say, center or either corner outfield, that's still an elite player. I just think it's at short, he's a liability, and that makes it look worse. Like, if you look at his stats, DRS as an example, go check it out. I don't have it with me, but I remember someone saying the other day that he's like terrible with DRS as an example, defensive run saved. And that's, to me, one of those situations where, like Mookie Betts, if you have a dude who's elite in the outfield but is average at best at infield, or kind of like O'Neal Cruz in center when he should be in one of the corners, which that's kind of an issue. That's a team building issue where, to me, Brian Reynolds should be at first and O'Neal in one of the corners, and they should have an actual center fielder like Harrison Bader was available. But anyway, that's neither here nor there right now, because I'm not talking about the Pirates. They're a complete mess as well. But dude's playing out of position. You could probably have Stott at short, or see what's going on with Aiden Miller. I know Justin Crawford's pretty much ready. He's in AAA, raking, running around, doing his thing. So this is all to say that the Phillies, what is the plan there? They have a couple guys. They have Painter, they have Crawford, they have Miller, they have Taillon far away, they have Rincones, I think, and AA, but I don't think he'll be ready until at least next year, you'd think. So you're paying all these guys all this money. Like, as an example, Aaron Nola. I saw him, he looked terrible in his start. Now, maybe obviously that's one start, could be an outlier, could be more of a trend, you never know. But you're paying all these guys all this money, and you're regressing, and nothing's being shaken up. That doesn't seem like a great combination, trying to win a ring, which that's what a team at that stature of payroll should be expecting. Especially when in that division, the Braves are coming, as was expected. The Nationals are slowly building something, which they are what they are at this point. And then obviously you have the Mets, who are one of the best teams in the league right now. And then you have the Dodgers out west, Giants out west, although they might fall off. Diamondbacks out west, though they've kind of got a little mountain to climb already. And the Padres out west. Plus, more than likely, the Cubs in the Central. So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop it here, but that's a fraud watch team where I think people aren't quite, the coach, Rob Thompson, the GM, whoever that is at this point, his name is escaping me right now. I think the owner's obviously given more than enough funds for that to be a situation that should work, yet it doesn't seem to be. Schwarber's going to be a free agent. Ranger Suarez is going to be a free agent. The bullpen doesn't seem great. The hitting is questionable. So anyway, if you made it this far, again, thanks for watching. I know it's been a bit of a hiatus, but I'm back. Going to be picking a National League team to follow and discuss probably series by series or week by week. So you can look forward to that. Peace.